So this is the biggest mistake I've ever made with my face. And if you've been following me for a while, I feel like my face looks really different than it did when I started out on YouTube. Personally, I love how my face is looking right now, but there was a point where I looked in the mirror and I literally was like, I don't recognize this face anymore. You start to think like, can I ever go back? And I thankfully was able to, but I wasn't sure for a second. So I'm just gonna list off all of the things that I've done to enhance my face over the years. I want to say 2020 I got lip filler for the first time. I really loved it, although I do feel like the injector you go to for lip filler is very important, and I don't think the injector that did it the first time really enhanced my lips in the best way. I started out with pretty full lips. My bottom lips always been this size, so when I first got my lips done, they looked like I got them done, if that makes sense. And then I went back and got more, which was a mistake. I ended up getting them basically fully dissolved after that, and I had someone else fully redo them. I really liked the look this time, but I do think it was giving me like a different lip than I have. I dissolve them again after a few years with lip filler. I think dissolving is part of the process. So I had them dissolved again. I had them done with the same girl. I've just been getting like touch-ups of dissolver on the side of my lips the last few years. On top of lip filler, I've also gotten lip flips over the years. There have been times where I really loved them, and then there have been times where I'm like, it looks crazy. When you make faces, you can tell that it's in there, and I did not like that look at all. Also, guys, I got a spray tan and my neck looks kind of funny, so ignore that. So this is the biggest mistake I've ever made with my face. I got filler in my nose when, I want to say the first time I did it was 2021, and I really just wanted like a little bit more of a tip situation. I got a little bit of filler, and the first time I got it, I loved it. It was like the tiniest difference. It definitely gave me the look I wanted. As you guys are seeing in the photos, I think it looked good. Now my mistake was the injector had recommended that I come back again and do a little bit more of the filler, because the first time I did it, like, it was the tiniest bit. Like, she didn't even put like 25% of the syringe in my nose. So she did a little bit more a few months later, and what I've learned about filler in the nose over the years after doing research after this whole debacle, when you do filler in your nose, you don't want to do it really in the tip. It's really meant to sit where your bridge is. That's where it's going to hold the filler the best. I was not aware of this. Obviously, my injector did not share that with me. It would just move, and it definitely moved around to more of the front of my nose. Oh my gosh, my phone is just blowing up. My nose looked huge, okay? And there was factors for why it looked even bigger. With any filler, it's going to attract water, and obviously when it's attracting water and absorbing water, it's going to look fuller. My nose just looked big, very big. I went back and got it dissolved a couple months later. Didn't make much of a difference. I went back and got it dissolved more 6 months later. Didn't make much of a difference. I went back 4 times to get my nose dissolved, and it didn't really fully go back to normal. Honestly, I still feel like it flares up randomly and it looks really big, especially during that time of the month when you're already retaining a lot of water. It looks bigger, absolutely. I'm not being dramatic. Sometimes when you do something to your face, it can affect the structure of that area. If you put filler in an area, it can kind of make certain things expand, if that makes sense, and it doesn't really go back to the way that it was. So yeah, like, I may just always have this problem. There was even a point, like, I got so fed up with the dissolving and trying to figure out if there was still filler in there that I actually went to a surgeon in the area, and I had them do an ultrasound on my nose to see like what was in there, and he saw a tiny bit more filler in there. So after 4 dissolving sessions, there's still filler in there. It's also a very dangerous area to inject. If you accidentally inject into a blood vessel, you can go blind. I knew this, not the smartest. I was like, we're gonna do the tiniest bit. This girl is, you know, this injector is very skilled. That's the only upside now, is I can like warn you guys about getting the nose filler. So that was probably the biggest mistake I made with my face. I've gotten a lot of filler in my chin. As you guys know, I've done the Y lift, Really liked that. It doesn't last super long. I think I want to say like the filler kind of lasted in my chin for maybe 2 years at most. It is a little expensive. I think it's like $2,200, but it's kind of intense. They take like a cannula and they put it like really close to the bone. Yeah, anything really close to the bone in your chin is very painful, and at this point I've had my face poked quite a few times, so this was the most painful thing I've done, was filler really close to the bone on my chin. Sounds crazy. I really love the way the filler worked for my chin. I still feel like I want a little something done just to like the outer edges here, but I've gotten a lot of filler in my chin. I can't like put a number on the syringes just because it's been over a 5-year period that I've done this, but it's definitely made the biggest difference in the balancing of my face. Now, this is something very important I want to talk about. This was another really big mistake that I made that really made me look so different. I ended up getting some filler right in this area of my face. It's PRP mixed with a little bit of filler. What I was told when I was getting this was there's just a tiny bit of filler in here, so you're not really going to notice the filler too much, but that PRP, it's mixed with your own blood. They do like a really cool mix with it. That's supposed to help produce more collagen in that area, which should help make it fuller. And I've always had like marionette lines kind of running through my face here, so I wanted something that would just kind of diminish the look of those lines a little bit more. I don't think I noticed how dramatic it was until like 2 years after it. I just knew that my face looked so puffy. It's not solely the filler that gave this look. It's a mixture of me retaining water, the filler making me retain even more water. Like my face constantly looked puffy, but I couldn't figure out why. There wasn't a lot of dimension in my face anymore, kind of giving that like moon face look. And I can honestly, after this situation, I can understand why girls don't realize they have moon face, because I just didn't know what the problem was. I looked up a picture of how the lymphatic system moves around in your face, and I actually think the filler could have gotten in the way of that too. Ended up getting it dissolved, and literally immediately after dissolving, my face looked like it was back to normal. The best decision ever. I would never ever put filler in this area again. Never again. I will never do that. Another thing I've been doing for years is getting Botox, and the reason I wanted the Botox to begin with was I had kind of like a permanent line right here in my face from when I was a kid. I used to go like this all the time with my face to try to like hide the blemishes on my forehead. That's sad. I did that at like 12 years old, so I feel like it caused some permanent lines. I also really love that Botox can kind of give you a lifted eye look, and it can kind of like elongate your brow. I actually haven't had Botox in a few months, so it's kind of worn off at this point. It really changes my face when the Botox kind of goes like, it goes like this and lifts this part. It's kind of giving a snatched effect. I personally like that look, but I have been really liking the no Botox. Another place that I got Botox years ago was my masseters. And I actually, looking back at photos, think this made a really big difference with the front of my face giving like a little bit more of a V. Also got a tiny bit of filler in this side of my jaw. Truly made the biggest difference. I love that little filler that I did, and I feel like that is how filler should be used, to kind of balance very slightly and not anywhere in the T-zone. I have struggled with acne my whole life. My skin is very acne prone, very sensitive. The only thing that's really helped with that is microneedling, and I've gotten microneedling sessions done 3 times now. You can only really do it when you're not sitting out in the sun, so I wait until the winter and the spring. But best investment ever. If you struggle with acne, if you have any acne scars, big pores like I do, you will love microneedling. I feel like the older I get, the more I am understanding why people say that your natural features suit you best, and you want to stay as close to that as possible, because with the backtracking and getting back to like more of my natural face, I'm like, oh my gosh, natural, right? I'm so grateful that I was able to dissolve certain things and I didn't do any permanent changes, like any surgeries. I've never done any surgeries before. So I have been working on a really exciting product for over a year now, and I had a lot of trouble deciding what route I wanted to go with Elos, because I could do more like sportswear, and I for a long time was like, should I drop leggings? I know my leggings so well, you guys know. I'm like, should I do more sporty pieces? Should I do more casual everyday, like staple pieces you can put in your wardrobe? And I was undecided on that for a long time because I knew I could do it really well, but I didn't want to go away from shapewear because I feel like shapewear plays such a big part in my life, and I love my waist trainers. So I wanted to create something that you could wear for special occasions, and you could wear as a bride, and you can wear to galas and big events, and something that would take your dress from looking good to looking amazing. Something that goes under your outfit, something that really gives the look of the corset snatched, something dramatic, and it's not going to break the bank. That is what I wanted to create, and I'm so close to getting this final sample, guys. It has been a long process. I'm like super excited to drop this. It's like, it really is the first of its kind. Business has been booming, but I have been struggling a lot. I don't know how people do everything. Every single day, I'm just like, how am I supposed to be great at all of these different parts of business? Yeah, I understand why people quit as an entrepreneur and a business owner. I understand why businesses fail. I understand now that I'm over a year in, guys. I'm just, every day I'm struggling with something, but you guys are going to be seeing a lot more of what I've been up to. I'm excited to just film what I'm doing. I'm very excited about that. I hope you guys like this fun little makeup tutorial while I've been talking.